Hello, you are beautiful people, and welcome to the as of yet award-winning That 40k Lunchtime Show, where we dive into the meta-analyze list and provide all the grade A banter you could ever hope. As always, I am joined by my esteemed panel of guests, and Ed was just trying to sort out his audio, so let's see how that went. Hey Ed, how are you?
All the better for hearing your voice, Chris. Did it work?
I mean, sure.
Yes. Cool. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, mate. I'm good. How the devil are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I've been doing some editing. I've been doing some painting. I've done no playing, as always. But I'm a bit gutted, to be honest, because next weekend is the first ITT I've not actually played at since they started happening, like, what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago or something? It's been going on a long time now. First one I'm missing, so a bit sad, but I'm keen to follow Alfarius because we had some fun last night, didn't we, Ed? Ed had his Grey Knight set in stone as his army for the last 2 weeks or so, and then at 10 p.m. Ed's like, yeah, just doing some matrices, seeing if Admech's better.
And
Um,
in my
and
defence,
to be fair to Ed, he did decide that he's going to stick with the Grey Knights. So there we go. And yeah, very excited to hear how all three 6++ teams get on next weekend at the ITT. Um, Jack, you're also here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to the ITT next weekend. I've played exactly one game with Sisters since Coventry, with the slightly tweaked list. Submitted that. Hopefully, all things Sisters will continue to go well.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I've spent more time looking at how to put 12 Castellan robots on a table after last week's show,
Yeah,
which I'm sure we'll get to later.
we will get to you later. You're
We'll
absolutely right.
leave it at that, but stay tuned for 12 Castellans.
Absolutely. So there we are, guys. We're putting in the hard work so that you don't have to. You are welcome. That's the extra mile we go to for our members. Right. Okay. Well, as always, we have got an absolute humdinger of a show because obviously, as you are all going to be aware, it was very recently the World Championships. This weekend just gone. So that is going to be the basis of this show. We're going to be diving in and we're going to be talking about all things World Championships, as always. So we're going to find out who won the World Championships. We're going to look at the meta and how it kind of went down, bearing in mind that it is, of course, Games Workshop terrain, so that will factor some things in. We've got our incredible game where we're just back to basics because you may have noticed Tom's not here. Tom is now back at work. Poor guy having a lot of fun. I'm sure. I'm sure he's really gutted to be back missing this. Then list surgery wise, um, Paint Testing. I just saw your the list you put in. It has to be in by Sunday, so that'll be next week's list. But we do have a Dear Deirdre, and we do have, of course, Jack's tournament winning Castellan robot list to discuss as well. But first of all, before the really important stuff, let's just go over to a little matter of the week of news. So we have got two things to talk about here. We've got the fact that on Friday night was a preview show in which we saw a whole host of brand new things. And then, of course, we've got the tournament itself to talk about and see how that went on. So, Friday night previews. Jack, did you pay any attention to the Friday night previews?
Well, I thought actually I might be interested in trying to watch the Friday night
That was
previews,
bold of
and
you.
I don't know if anyone else here attempted to watch them, but they were, I think, about as close to unwatchable as they could be. And before they fixed them, I went, I can't be bothered with this. I'm going to bed. So that was my experience. Tune on, listen to them talk about Warhammer Quest for what felt like 4.5 hours,
Mhm.
while you can't actually hear anything they're saying. Then let them cut to a technical issues break, at which point I gave up. It's like, cool, I'm done.
That's entirely fair. Well, just so for the people who have maybe not heard, I've got it up on screen here as well. So we've got a few. Obviously, we focus on 40k, don't we? So we all focus on the 40k side of things. So the first thing we've got here is obviously 500 worlds of Ultramar. That is a brand new thing. It basically has given Games Workshop another opportunity to produce yet more Marines, which is always fun, isn't it? First impressions of this, Jack, assuming you have actually looked at this.
I mean, it seems like the classic end of edition 40k campaign series, which traditionally gets a little crazy when it comes to game balance, rules design, new units. Normally, this is where things get real interesting at the end of the edition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've got some beautiful models here, as you can see. Ed, do you like to play Marines? Do you reckon any of these will end up in your Anvil Siege Force army?
I mean, I've got to, right? I've got to. They see, I mean, they look really great, right? The new banner guy looks awesome. Like, I actually really like the Captain Titus model. I actually like they've actually given these people fur cloaks and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
Very chaos adjacent though. I'm sure Leandros will be very suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the model set looks great. It's going to be like a narrative campaign, isn't it? So that'll be exciting for people who are narrative mains. So that's good.
There are a lot of them out there. We also, of course, have new Necrons. Ed, you love Necrons. They're quite possibly your favourite army. Despite that, it's a pretty cool model.
It looks fantastic. So bear in mind, it's just I want to give some context to Necrons. I don't hate the Necron models. The models look great. They're robots.
The Necron players, right? Is that how?
No, not even players. It's the faction rules, but we're not going to go into that too much detail. But the model looks fantastic. Like it's the actual lore behind it's quite interesting as well. I believe it's like something that's just trying to find all the old Catan shards back, and the only thing that knew about it was the Silent King.
Trying to bring back Nightbring, I think, or something.
Yeah, trying to bring back all of the Catan shards, which is really cool. And it looks fantastic. So I think this is something that Necron players should be very excited about.
Yeah, and obviously we've got our new Nightbringer model, which was leaked quite a while ago. So that's going to be pretty cool. And then we've got a whole bunch of new books. Are these coming with new detachments?
Yes, I believe it does say in the article. In fact, there's literally a book, Chris, at the end that says Titus detachments.
Excellent. So I would suggest that probably means we're going to have some Titus detachments. So there we are. That's fun for everyone. So that was the kind of the 500 worlds thing, and then we also have Champions of the 41st Millennium, where we got some new heroes. So Beric Stormbrow. I know basically all the Votann players are extremely excited for this chap, as he's a berserk character, right? Poor orc has been chopped up. So that'll be quite interesting to see how he brings in. Or look at this, Tau players. This has been enough to turn Mr. Tom Lohman into a Tau main. So here we are. We've got the Twin Lance. They look pretty cool, don't they?
They look really cool. The Tau models always look great, right? It's just the one dynamic with the one single dynamic issue with some people don't really like to play with them, but these guys look awesome. So I like the fact that they've got new battle suits. It seems like a fresh design. Yeah, looks really good.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how their rules translate onto the tabletop. And then we've got the new Tyranid Prime with Lash Whip. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm actually not that fussed by this model.
I think the model looks fantastic. I just think the issue is it is only a Tyranid Prime that they are getting as a reveal. I don't think anyone can sniff that the model actually looks really good because it's really dynamic. It looks great. It's a new Tyranid Prime model, awesome. But like, out of anything you could possibly have done with a Tyranid reveal or release, now they chose to just do a Tyranid Prime. It feels sort of like a token effort, just say we've done something for you. Now shut up.
Yeah, I think it does at least show the design direction that whenever they inevitably do new Tyranid warriors, that they'll be going in. Because I think the model does just looks nice. A much nicer modern redesign of some Tyranid warriors, I think, was sorely needed alongside him. But don't worry, I'm sure they'll make him auto take 3 of in every list because he'll give Tyranid warriors +1 damage in combat or something ridiculous.
Yeah, plus all the strength, attack, and damage like the Outrider ability just on his day sheet.
There you are. I heard the rules here first, guys. Right, so obviously, meanwhile, in the playing world, we had the World Championships. Now, shout out to our very own Jamie East, who took his Death Guard along. He managed to go 2-6. So, yeah, obviously, as we said to him, like this is a tournament featuring a lot of players who've won tournaments, right? So every game's kind of potentially a final of a GT level game at least. So to get 2 wins was awesome. I know he had an awesome time over there as well. And a special mention to Dave, who also went out and did the grand narrative. I think he found that quite an experience because obviously you got some quite intense people taking on the narrative experience. I think he said at one point he was Space Wolves. He decided to take a boon offered by Thousand Suns to give his whole army 5-up feel no pain for the next game, and like his entire team, like the Imperium team, like were about to lynch him. They were like genuinely so angry that he decided to take this boon. So yeah, sounds like great fun. And also Aaron popped over because he's only like a 4-hour drive away, so he went over as well. So it was really nice to see them all together. So well done. But at the top end of it, we obviously had the best players in the world going toe to toe, and this is how it ended up. So this is our top 8. So the final was Siegler versus Liam, and then we also had John Lennon there with his Emperor's Children, Giorgio Castelli with Death Watch. Death Watch just getting everywhere, don't they? Doesn't matter what the tournament is, Death Watch will always be up there. Folger, last year's winner, he actually took Warhost, not Aspect, and he came 5th. Steve Trimble on Drakari, which is pretty cool. Jack Harpster on Sisters, so we do have some Sisters representation there. Kyle on Dark Angels, which I believe was Wrath of Rock. And then, as you can see, we worked down. So, obviously, both of you are AdMech mains. Is it a surprise, Jack, that AdMech won the World Championships?
I mean, I think I said it when we did our show just after the AdMech buffs, where I was like, they've gone too far with this. I think it's too much. I'm not surprised to see AdMech win World Champs. I'm surprised, honestly, that they hadn't already won a really big event somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think World Champs is the event that's put AdMech firmly in the spotlight as, oh, okay, this army is really, really good now. So yeah, I'm not surprised to see AdMech win.
Do you think this is proof that Skitarii Hunter cohort is the best detachment?
I mean, I've always thought Skitarii Hunter cohort is the best detachment. There's some arguments for Halo's Creed to be made here and there in specific builds, in specific layouts and stuff, but I think it's so hard to go wrong with flooding the board with a series of undercosted 2-wound models that all then get stealth and have access to a Feel No Pain. I think if you haven't seen it and you want to see how silly this gets, is go watch the final game between Liam and Siegler, and you watch the final turn where Liam needs to kill 10 infiltrators, or I think it was infiltrators, yeah, that were on an objective. And I kid you not, it's Siegler, a lot with the 5-up Feel No Pain, just refused to lose any.
It was ridiculous. It was just like, oh, that's a lot of saves he's made. Oh, that's a lot more saves he's made as well.
Yeah, they were blocking far too much damage for their points cost. It was literally, I think, too much.
Yeah, no, I think
that comes down to a dice roll as well, right? I think he passed like 90% of his 4-up save.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like if I hand someone 26 saves and they pass 24 of them and then pass both the Feel No Pains, I'm like, ah.
That's probably not a skill issue, but yeah, no, absolutely. Liam, obviously, we spoke about here. He was one of the favourites going in. He's on Eldari, one of the strongest factions. He's just won the LGT. Couldn't quite get it done. Do we think that this game... So, for those who don't know, basically, it came down to the very final turn. Liam had to achieve a bunch of stuff in order to get a draw. And then it would go on to turn 6 or something. And he didn't quite get marked for death, I think it was, because he just bounced off. That being said, pre-game, the commentators were saying that this game heavily favours AdMech. Our very own Harley has played the Admech Eldari game into Ben Jones and got absolutely stuffed. Although Harley would say that wasn't his fault. Do we think this game was always going to be close? Do we think that actually Liam outplayed Richard to keep it that close? Should it have been a bigger gap, do we think?
For Admech I think Admech do have a good game into Eldar generally, but for the amount of times I've seen that said and seen it played, I've seen some Admech players get absolutely demolished by Eldar. I think it's very much so. The first turn doesn't, can make a big impact to the game. So, like, if say for instance, if the Admech player just decides to deploy infiltrators aggressively and then go first, like it can be pretty tough for the Eldar. But I don't know. I think it's just a very volatile game that can swing one way or the other. Like, let's say, for instance, in Harley's game, like he get handed force 4 last cannon saves on the Brave Serpent past 3 of them. Suddenly he lost. Like it literally just spirals out of control. I feel like there's lots of volatile moments in these games. The fact it was close was surprising. I thought it was going to blow out one way or the other. That was what my reflection of it was, but that obviously was wrong. I thought it was going to be a blowout one way or the other.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, my take on it is, it's the thing with Eldar is it doesn't matter what Eldar are generally what they're playing into, right? If you, as the player playing against Eldar, make any form of mistake, right, which they can capitalize on, they will do so very easily and in a very punishing way. Which I think is why you see a lot of these games where people are like, X should be favored into Eldar. Eldar literally wiped him off the face of the earth. Because they gave Eldar an opening and they went, well, I'm not supposed to win anyway, so I'll just go for it and see what happens.
Okay, that's interesting. We did have an interesting one. Liam beat John Lennon 71-39. Is that a normal reflection of Eldar versus EC?
I mean, apparently not, from what people will tell you. But I don't know. Maybe Liam just Liamed. That is something that can just happen. But I think it's a drawy game. I don't think like EC generally speaking just annihilate either way. But I think it's just an interesting point, isn't it? That it could happen, but I don't know. I think it's fine. I think generally speaking, the Eldar can win that game if the EC player makes mistakes, and John must have made a mistake, or Liam must have done a Liam.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I believe the quote unquote mistake was John failing a 5-inch charge twice into a wave serpent. So
rookie error.
Yeah, that's a skill issue.
Imagine paying people to get coaching from him. That is appalling. Right. So let's look at the rest of the meta then. So we have got Admech, Eldari, EC, Deathwatch, Eldari, Drukhari. They're the kind of like the one losses. Sisters here. This was the 30 dudettes, wasn't it, Jack? That don't die.
Yeah, 30 sacrosancts.
Yeah, so he lost to Siegs, and then he lost again in his final match. So he lost.
You're on round 1, Chris.
Oh, I'm on round 1. That's a long way. Let's go to this one. He lost to Eldari. That's interesting. Yeah, so he lost to Folger. We had a humdinger here, Eldari into Admech. So again, another really close game between Eldari and Admech. Admech again from Dan. He's right up there at the top end.
Admech here, isn't there?
Admech are doing things. Admech are doing work in good hands.
Hang on. Can we point out the rogue T Suns that are knocking? There's a couple of T Suns players on 6 and 2, I believe I heard.
Okay.
Which, for a faction that everyone I think has said is dead, distinctly seem to be not dead.
Fair
because we still magic up damage out of nowhere, right?
So we've got Grand.
Yeah, exactly.
So Magnus, double sorcerer, and then Terminator sorcerer. So going to be 4 units. Only 2 units of 5 rubrics. 10. So you've got 10 Scarab Cult Terminator brick. Oh, some of the new robots, and then 3 units of Zangor Enlightened. 2 6s and a 3.
Yeah, as it turns out, with an extra 30 points on top of them, they are still, in fact, very good.
Shocking news. But yeah, I thought it'd just be cool to have a quick little look at them because I think a lot of people feel a bit down and bummed about them, but clearly there is still play there if someone can take them to world champs. And it's not like he's lost the first couple of games and maybe has had a slightly easier time at the rest of the event. He is in pod 1.
Yeah.
Right, and he has won games in pod 1 as well, which I think is very impressive given how everyone seems to feel about them.
Yeah, I also think that most of the setups from T-Sons could probably give Admech a game, right? Because they've got so much like flaming and like the Infernal Masters and stuff, and they can rip apart Admech bodies pretty quickly. So that's interesting as well.
We've got some more sisters here coming in at 13th. Let's have a look at this one.
That is a very Hordy. Is that the Hordy list? No,
there's triple
there was someone, I believe, running 30 Battle Sisters and 30 Sacrosaunts.
Oh, nice. This does not appear. Oh, this has got 20 Saxons. So that's a good result for sisters there. More Admech, 15th and 16th. Imperial Knights. So one loss from the Imperial Knights, managed to get up there. Sam Pope was how did he go undefeated?
He would have lost in Shadow Round.
Okay, nice. Sam Pope on Tyranids. All of our wonderful Tyranid viewers who love us. Let's have a look. Invasion Fleet. Got the old Tervigon there. Nice. That's quite a lot of stuff. Quite a lot of gaunts. Shockingly, 3 Exocrines, more Gene Stealers. It's a lot of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a good, honest list. Just some combat, some chaff, lots of chaff, some little bit of shooting.
It reads a lot like a teams list, which I think is very interesting to see at World Champs. Like, I'd look at this and go, yes, this is a teams list that will score 10 in all of its games.
Yeah.
Sorry, just reading into the chat. So we've got Reminisce says, couldn't Liam have burnt Richard's home objective with Lycus and clear the objective with James R?
So this is actually an interesting point. So I don't know. Someone got out some models on the map, and obviously we couldn't see exactly how the models were on Richard's home objective, but I think it looked like there was 7 by memory, wasn't it, Jack?
I can't remember. I saw it, but didn't think much of it.
Yeah, I think basically Richard blocked off his objective with the Ranger, so he couldn't land on there.
Yeah.
But it did it with 7 models, and whether it was possible or not with 7 models, we weren't sure. But obviously at the table, it's hard to make those distinctions. And obviously, if he puts he doesn't have to screen out the entire objective; he just has to screen out the 26-inch move. So he puts basically the dudes around the front of the objective, and he can't land behind. Then that might have been something they found out that he couldn't do. So basically, no, you couldn't burn it because Richard blocked it off. So he couldn't actually get something on there to do the action. Was the discussion.
Yeah, I think from a quick glance, it looked like he just body blocked it, basically. And then, was anyone disappointed to see such a high-level game be decided on Richard's very lucky dice rolls on turn 5? Is that a bad thing? Does that ruin it for you if it's an incredibly close game between 2 of the best players in the world and one guy rolls really well to get the win? Do you think that takes it away from anyone at all, or is that just Warhammer?
No, I think Liam was pushed to do what he wanted to do on that objective anyway. Yes, the spike made it impossible, but he was also pushed to try and do the amount of damage he was trying to do anyway. He had 10 infiltrates to clear, and he handed 24 saves or something like that, 26 saves. That's not enough to kill them anyway. Even if he doesn't spike, and even if enough don't die, I still think it's within the realm of, and then the heroic from the bats as well. I think that was him playing for the draw, and him playing the way the only thing he can do.
He played 2,000, right?
If let's say, for instance, if Liam rolled averagely there, and he rolled averagely, and the infiltrator still lived, and he had the exact same situation happen, would it have been taken away from it because he lived? If they rolled averagely, no. So it's fine. And even if he did kill everything that was on there, and then Liam got on it, they went to turn 6, whatever they were planning to do. and then that happened, and then he won that way. Then which one would be worse? I don't know. I think it would be. I think it's fine. Like dice spikes happen, and you just sort of shrug your shoulders, go fair enough, and then move on. It's all part of the game.
Right. England had some people going. So how did the England go? Well, best English person was Matthew McCurdy with his Space Wolves.
Yeah, he absolutely nailed it. He went 6-2, didn't he?
6-2. That is awesome. So
Wow.
well done, Matthew. Just the 2 losses there, and including a loss with 89 points. Tony Barrett, recent winner of the 2-day Coventry one. He went 5-3. Our very own Ben Jones. We all love Ben. He went 5-3. Warlords of Warsaw putting in the things there. So it's 3-5. Looks like he had a really great start, Billy Guest, and then found it a bit trickier. Chaos Knights there from Ratnu, 5-3. Paulie, Sky Serpent himself with a 5-3. Andy, Mr. War Masters with a 5-3. Was he happy with how it went, Jack?
I don't think he's put any comments about it in the War Masters chat. So I think, knowing Andy, I think he would have liked to have done a bit better. But
sure, entirely fair. Josh P, who apparently someone was saying on the plane was like, I just don't see how my list loses. So when lost his first 3 games.
that sounds about right.
Which, but he covered there. 3 wins. He was on Chaos Colts. Nikish Wingal and Admech with 2 wins. Our very own Jamie with 2 wins there, and then Stephen. Death Guard not done so well there. Not carried the day, unfortunately. Don't know Stephen Walker. Do you know Stephen Walker?
No.
Well done, Stephen Walker. So overall, are we happy with how the meta is then? I mean, it feels like we're probably due an update soon, aren't we? So in the next month or 2. So are we happy? Is this a good indication? Because this is obviously GW are going to look at this and go, cool, things feel reasonably healthy. Are we happy?
Yeah, I think I have a very short list of things I would actually change. I think a few overly spammed AdMech units should go up in points to compensate for the fact that they now have better weapons. Please don't undo the buff to the data sheets and keep them at the same points. The correct thing to do is to have units that actually do something, and they just cost a few more points. I think Eldar is a tough one to balance, but I think the broken part of Eldar that's unfun, which is the non-interactivity, maybe could be looked at in a way, whether that's upping the CP cost of the getting back into transport strat or stuff like that, just to try and tone that down. And I think I'd put the points costs on Retributors and Sanctifiers up by like 10 or 20 per unit, and I wouldn't otherwise touch Sisters beyond that. And I think that's a well, I think they're too good, but I think it's specifically those 2 units that are too good. I think the rest of it is fine. Like I'm trying to do changes here that aren't killing any factions overnight. So
yeah, that's fair. I think interestingly, I think that the most powerful factions aren't that much of an issue, right? Yes, they are a little bit overtuned, but they're not like, even you don't see one army consistently winning the event. It's like there's a mix between them all in there. Admech, as you say, probably slightly overtuned. Sisters probably slightly overtuned. Eldar slightly overtuned. But then I think what's more interesting is look at stuff that's really bad that we can make look better. So, like, what's currently a faction that's not doing very well that probably needs a buff?
Grey Knights.
Grey Knights, I would love buffs on Grey Knights, but I don't think they're actually in that position. I think they're actually fine. But I'm trying to think of data sheets that would be cool to get a buff on.
I think that's part of the problem, right? What most armies nowadays are perfectly playable, and most things are fine, right? Like they might not be, I'm going to go out and win a tournament with this level good, but most units you can take now and feel okay for playing them, right? You can find a build or something that works to get you a 3-2 somewhere. And I think that's I'll be honest, I've never seen the game be in a position where that is a thing. There's always been units that are like, this is so bad, a player who is good couldn't even go 3-2 with it. I don't think that's the case anymore. Like, even if you if you scroll up, I think they finished 17th. I think it's Raven from Spain. I believe their Emperor's Children list had Fulgrim in it, which is, according to everyone, literally unplayable. And here it is at World Champs.
Yeah.
Is he still coteries? No, he's Peerless Bladesman.
I might run that list.
Yeah, I think the game is in a really cool spot at the minute, and I think that's maybe why people are screaming a little bit harder than they should about Eldar, Admech, and Sisters. Because when you have a really well-balanced game, anything that is slightly outside of those boundaries is, well, we all know it. Warhammer players love complaining on the internet. That's in the list of things Warhammer players like doing. In the top 5, you've got, painting, building, playing the game, and right at the top is making an angry Facebook or Reddit post about how unbalanced the game is. So,
yeah. I can get that. I think, I don't think there's many things that I would change, really. I think there are just a few data sheets that haven't been seen in ages, that we could just look at making it slightly better. Like what they did last time, they just fixed a few data sheets and just made them good. Like someone locked the designer in a room with the Psychophage and the Disco Lord, and we're like, right, stay in there until it's good.
Yeah, I think it's such a fun place to be. Like, I'll be honest, right? The Terminator box, the Battle Force box, came out last weekend, right?
Yeah.
And I keep looking at it and going, you know what? It'd be really cool to put 20, 30 Terminators on a table and just take it to an event. And I think I could go 3-2 with it, right? And that would be, just as some fun. And I can tell you now, there were times in the past where if you even looked at taking 30 Terminators, you were not winning any of your games at all. So
yeah, I love what they've done with the Terminators, and the fact that they've given like 2 or 3 detachments that are all relatively okay. Like, they're not brilliant, but they're okay.
Exactly.
And I think that's awesome. Like, I've been looking at the exact same list.
I think another great example, again from World Champs, you look at Mark Hurtle's list, and it's got 3 Land Raiders in it, right? Like it's the game is in such a interestingly well balanced spot at the minute.
Yeah.
And I really, honestly, I would be so disappointed if with the campaign books we see the normal pattern of game breaking stuff come out at the end of the edition, because I think this is the best the game has ever been as long as I've been playing it.
Yeah.
And it'd be really, really disappointing to see it sort of fall over at the last hurdle of the edition.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's literally so close, and they're saving so close. It's just a relatively balanced game. There's a couple things that are overtuned, but yeah, I think it is the best since I've played. Like I was looking when I'm looking at like 4 or 5 different potential factions for ITT, and there is not an obvious choice after the ones that have already been selected. I'm like, this shows that there's some balance in this. It shows that there's balance in this game, because I'm looking at like 4 or 5 different armies. I'm like, all of these are good to take. Like, there's not one that's screaming out to me that I need to take over the rest, which is obviously a really, really awesome place to be, because it means you can just try out different things. And like, I will be taking the 30 Terminator list at some stage because I think it's awesome. I'll be using it in Iron Hands. And, I think all of that looks great. So, yeah, it's in a really good spot right now.
Nice. There you go, guys. Shout out to War Masters Matt for the super chat. Thank you very much. ITT Gamers, absolutely. Is the final going to be War Masters versus 6++? Who knows? I mean, we haven't played you guys for ages, have we, Jack? Now at an ITT.
I think you've played the B team. I think
we played
ITTs ago.
Last time we played you was round 1. Quite a while ago. I don't even know if you and Naz were there.
I might not have been. I think that was the one that I wasn't there for. I think Naz was there, but I don't think I was.
We won that one. Just saying. So, who knows? This time next week, one of us could be bragging over the other one. That's the goal. So, as always, it's now time for our incredible game, and normal service has resumed. It's now back to Jack versus Ed.
Yay! Now, as soon as Tom's not winning again.
It went really well for me the last 2 weeks. Do my results count for nothing?
No, I have been tracking it. Don't worry.
Am I winning it?
Oh.
And so the current score in just the world of Jack versus Ed is Jack is on 24. and Ed is on 31.
Oh, I'm quite far behind then.
Yeah, last week, but we'll see how this one goes. This was a bit of a random one, I would say. So we'll see how you get on. So number 1, going to be a nice, easy one to start you off with. This character was born on Terra during the Unification Wars. This character was born on Terra during the Unification Wars. And as always, please join in at home, but don't write your thoughts in the chat, because Jack Tite is a very sneaky boy and will steal all your ideas.
You will read it.
I absolutely will. You caught me there, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm staring at that chat. You guys better put some answers in for me. And if I think they're fake, I'll get Chris to ban you.
Yeah, it's entirely fair. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's Fulgrim this week. So
Yeah, it's always Fulgrim, right?
it's always Fulgrim. When in doubt, just guess Fulgrim. Right, I've mixed in some quotes here. So here's another one. Change is the only constant, and stagnation is the greatest sin. Change is the only constant, and stagnation is the greatest sin.
I think I've got it.
That's exciting. Well, you are quite far behind. So
Yeah, I think I need it.
I'll say I most definitely do not have it. So.
Oh, awesome!
This goes one of two ways, right? I really relish Ed's confidence early on when it turns out to be
Wrong.
completely wrong, and then when it's right, it really pisses me off. So we'll see which one happens. Number 3. This character has taught the Drakari a thing or two.
Shit, I don't think I've got it. Or maybe I do.
This character has taught the Drakari a thing or two. I enjoyed reading about this character. I don't know anything about him.
I think I might have it. I don't know if they did this, but I think I have it.
Well, they did. So, right, number 4. Back to another quote. The Emperor sought perfection in mankind. I merely continue his work, free of his delusions. The Emperor sought perfection in mankind. I merely continue his work, free of his delusions. How confident are you at the moment, Jack?
I feel a little better, but I'm nowhere near certain. But
Okay.
I feel okay now.
How about you, Ed? How are you feeling?
Pretty certain.
Pretty certain. Nice. Excellent.
That means I'm going to be wrong, but I'm very certain.
It has happened before.
So.
One of this character's main passions is cloning.
Yay!
One of this character's main passions is cloning.
Why don't you make that the first clue? God. Easy.
Right, okay. After round 1, Jack, who had you written?
I'd put Alexis Pollux. It's one of my go-tos at this point. Just
Nice.
put him down.
Who?
Round 1 if I see the word Terra. Oh, it's the Imperial Fist captain dude that becomes the chapter master of the Crimson Fists.
Nice. And who did you put, Ed?
I just wrote down a random name, so I wrote down Carla Betrayer.
Okay. Totally. After round 2, Jack, who had you written?
I put Belisarius Call.
Okay. And Ed?
Fabius Bile, because I know that one.
Number 3, Jack, who did you put?
I put Fabius at this point.
And Ed?
Fabius.
So did you both stay with Bile the whole time?
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. Well done, guys. See, I was thinking the number 2 would be like, oh, that's Zinchi. It's got to be a Zinch character.
It sounds Zinchi, but for me, I was just like, no Zinch character I know is born on Terra during the Unification Wars I can think of. I know Bile was, and that sounds very Bile-esque. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He makes shit. So I was like, yeah, I could.
Yeah, it was quite interesting, like reading about it, because I knew nothing about the guy.
Yeah, I remember. The thing is, I knew that he had said something similar. So I've heard a quote from Bob before, which was similar to that, but I didn't know if it was actually that. Do you know what I mean? Like at that point where I wrote down Fabius Bile's name, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a Fabius Bile quote, but it could definitely be Zinchi.
Yeah. No, it's you see, he loves his cloning. He really does love his cloning.
Clone
Yeah, he's
Fulgrim.
cloned Fulgrim, cloned Tarbo.
Yeah, and
No,
look
it
at
was Ferris
Ferris.
Manus, wasn't it? And then Trazind allegedly stole the clone or whatever it was, I think, or something.
Well, yeah, according to the wiki, basically he made Fulgrim and then was just worried that because it was Fulgrim like pre-chaos, and he was just worried he was going to like do it all again, so he just gave him to Trajan or something. Nice, good times. Well, there we go, guys. So that was 2 points for Ed and 3 for Jack. Ed pulls it back slightly. Now, we didn't have any lists sent in on time. Paint testing will do yours next week. We have to get them in by Sunday. But we did have, and as always, just a reminder, if you are a member of our YouTube, then please do, when you join our Discord, if you're on our Discord and you're a member of YouTube, you should have access to a YouTube member section where you can submit lists for us to look at. And if that's not working for you, just drop us a message and we will fix it for you, because Discord's a bit silly sometimes. However, last week in our Dear Deirdre section, Mr. Ultimate Funk set us a challenge. Now, Ultimate Funk absolutely loves AdMech, and in particular, he loves his robots. He's been trying to make them forever. And Ed, on spur of the moment, developed a list, and Jack went, I want to go away and give it a bit of thought. So, Ultimate Funk, I hope you are ready for this, because this army has, or this list has in fact been play tested as well. Without further ado, Jack, talk us through why this is such an incredible list.
Okay, first, I'm going to set expectations with this list, where
Good.
it's better than I thought it would be, but it's definitely not the best thing in the game. So, going into it, I was like, all right, obviously, I think the main problem with having to take 3x4 robots and cool is that that's a lot of points. So outside of that, you sort of have to go down a very MSU route to have enough screens and units to at least play a turn or two of not sending all the robots immediately. And likewise, you then end up a little bit light on damage, so you have to rely on the robots to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So Halo's Creed is picked largely because of the movement buffs it provides for the robots, and just because the strats are slightly better than the Cybernetica ones. Otherwise, they actually largely fulfill a similar role in speeding up the Castellan units. In the list, I've got the enhancement on one of the data smiths that gives that unit one of the Halo's Creed keyword all the time. And effectively, it means that you can have all 3 robots as Halo's Creed unit targets, which is great just because it means that they can have the reroll ones to hit and ones to wound. You can pick the +2 move. You can take the D3 mortals and give them advance and charge as well, which when you have army-wide advance and shoot means that they actually can keep pace a little bit. Which is, I think, the main reason for taking Halo's Creed over Cybernetica. Because ultimately, if you don't need +2 move, +1 toughness is a really good buff when you can also get +1 toughness from the data smiths. Castellan robots potentially being T11 is actually a pretty big breakpoint to hit. So the stuff that's actually in the list is, obviously, we've got cool. Weirdly, I didn't find myself using the reroll hits thing very often. Normally because the Castellan robots nuke whatever it is they get into combat with, and occasionally they need to shoot something meaningful, at which point you put the buff on the target unit. I actually found myself doing the stealth aura or the +1 OC aura a lot more, just because that +1 OC actually makes the robot units quite hard to contest objectives with. We've got 3 data smiths. One has got the enhancement I talked about earlier. One has got a enhancement for +6 inch range and reroll hazardous. Not that is particularly relevant for Castellan, that part, but the +6 inch range is great for the flamers. It means you can have one unit that sort of, it just gives you that extended threat range of an Overwatch. It lets you control spaces of the board a little better. And obviously there's this one that's knocking around on without any enhancements. We've got 2 units of 10 rangers. I would like more battle line in the list, but I simply can't fit it in. You definitely need one list to hold your home. you pretty much want the second list or the second unit so that you can give your robots +1 AP, because they definitely have an AP issue on their shooting and combat. So getting the +1 AP buff on them is really important from the AdMech Doctriners. You've got 2 units of 5 Skystalkers. This is it's just a screening unit, right? Like, they go out, maybe do an action, maybe do a secondary, move block things, get in the way, screen out reserves that might be trying to drop on the robots. I think they're pretty self-explanatory. We've got 2 units of 5 Infiltrators. This is so that you can buy yourself a bit of space in deployment, try and cut down the chance that you get jailed turn 1 by opposing Infiltrators and the like, because the Castellan robots don't have fly. They're not particularly quick, so you do need to sort of guarantee ways out of your deployment zone, and Infiltrators just give you that bit of space. They're also a really, really good early game skirmishing unit, right? You go in, punch your 5-man to death quite easily. Potentially make them one of your Halo's Creed units, so you have the 6-inch reactive move up on them. Really good with Call's Oath. If you really want to get rid of 5 models, you go crit 5s, 4 rerolls, kill the unit, reactive move behind a wall maybe. The 2 Las Chickens, I ummed and ahed about whether I wanted to have them as 2 singles or a unit of 2. I think I take them as a unit of 2, because if there's a transport I really need to kill, which the robots have real issues with, it's nice to have 2 Las Chickens that I can go cool rerolls on that transport, crit 5s as a strat from Halo's Creed. Cool. I should now fairly consistently pop that transport open, barring any horrendous rolls. And then we've got 3x4 Castellan robots. I think the only interesting thing I did that maybe isn't the standard is I didn't bother with the twin fist. I took the 1 Phosphor and 1 fist. I figured that if I needed 6 attacks in combat and I had 24 strength 12 AP2 3 damage attacks, I'd probably be decent at killing my way out of combat, even without twin linked. Weirdly, I found that going into anything with -1 to wound means that you really do need the twin linked, but it was serviceable. I think in the vast majority of games where your opponent isn't playing an army that's permanently -1 to be wounded from turn 2 onwards, it's not as bad. And I think I would continue to take 1 Phosphor Blaster, 1 Fist, because you don't always need to melee people. Some turns you'll go with the +2 shots from the Data Smith, and suddenly each Castellan robot is putting out 7 plus D6 shots with the Flamer, and it adds up for across 12 robots.
I remember when Mars detachment was a thing, and you could give them death wounds or mortal wounds and stuff. That was a fun time. Well, there you are, and you have actually tested this list, haven't you, Jack?
I have played this list. I have played it into a fellow England member from last year, who I will not name.
Name and shame.
And was able to get a 12-8 win out of them with these Castellan robots while they're playing their current go-to meta list for teams. So I think that is about as good as a performance as I could expect from the list. I think it has scope in teams to be an interesting skew type list. I think there's going to be some stuff that really struggles to deal with this volume of 2-up say, 5-up invuns, reflect mortals back type units. But I think the current metagame is probably quite savage for Castellan robots. So
Well, there you are, guys. I'm sure that is probably the most anyone on the internet has ever spoken about Castellan robots for quite some time. So you are very welcome, Dave. Hopefully you can go and get that list out and get away from Old World. Hopefully this has given you some top tips. We should shout out Dom in the chat, who's just super chatted. Thank you very much. And he's also been a member for 4 months, Chapter Master. So he says, last week Jack said Brian Jones's WCW list contained 3 of the best 4 big knights in the game. Could he confirm which is the 4th? Asking for a friend. So I work with Dom coaching, and he's going to be taking knights to Leicester in December. So he's working on his knights list at the moment. So Jack, got an answer?
Yeah, I am just going to Brian's list to remind myself of what he had in the list. so I can answer the question. I think in my head the 4 best knights in the game are Canis, Castellan, Atropos, and the defender. I think are the 4 best, and I'm assuming that it's one of those he hasn't got in there. Those are the 4 that come to mind for Imperial Knights anyway. Chaos Knights is a bit different, but largely the same. Sorry, I'm just loading up his list.
It's all right, Jack. Take your time. It's fine.
Yeah, so he had the Atropos, Castellan, Crusader. Okay, the Crusader I would put on par with the Defender. So either Defender or Crusader. That's sort of my top 5. Canis, Atropos, Castellan, Crusader / Defender.
Nice. There you are, Dom. Okay. Right. Final thing for today is good old dear Deidre. There was a lovely long conversation about completely random things in our Discord Deidre chat. So cheers guys for that. However, there was a question actually asked. So, good old Chazza. I couldn't sleep last night as the thought of another army had my mind racing. It's all a bit overwhelming when there's so many choices. I currently have Blood Angels, Dark Angels, and Necrons, and I'm looking for a new project. Ideally something with different playstyles and not something I regularly see. And the things he regularly sees are Tyranids, Grey Knights, apparently, CSM, Tau, and Eldar. So if we take 8 armies off the board, who would you pick and why? He wants a new army. We are here to enable Chaz to start a new army. What new army do we think it should be, Ed?
Oh, why'd you ask me first? I'm just getting the factions up.
Well, you know what?
All right, I'll start.
Yes, cool.
So I'm looking at that, and I'm seeing 3 armies that have reasonably good saves across the board. A little bit, 2 of them are pretty stodgy defensive armies. One of them's a bit faster, but I think I'd be lying if I said Blood Angels didn't actually have pretty decent saves across the board. I think something that's completely different is something that's a bit squishier, something that's a bit more MSU. Obviously, you don't want Eldar, but I'd probably say Dark Eldar is the thing I would go with based off that list, and you wanting something different. And not something that you regularly see.
Yes, there you are. So shout out for Jakari. Ed, what's your shout out?
Okay, so I'm going to go for a slightly different angle, even though Jack's quite right with what he's saying. I'm going to go, so he's got BA, DA, and Necron. So you've got, again, things that are pretty good saves across the board. You've got one fastish army, one slowish army, and one, relatively in between. So I think a Chaos army here could slot in quite nicely, but you obviously you don't want to do CSM. So I think something like Emperor's Children would be good for the MSU style, and there's some really fantastic models there available because it's still going with sort of the combat sort of play style that you seem to have in your sort of lists throughout the situations. Obviously, Necrons not so much, but Dark Angels and Blood Angels relatively well known for having some level of combat in there and some mixed arms, and you could sort of adapt that style going forward with Emperor's Children. Which is pretty cool, and it just keeps it more consistent. Yes, it's less squishy, so it's not going to teach you a new play style. It's not going to teach you something new in that respect. But it's whether you want comfort or whether you want to go out of the comfort zone. Because Emperor's Children is something it's a dynamic play style, lots of cool models that you can get involved into. We've just seen Fulgrim's clearly viable, and all that sort of good stuff. So yeah, I think that is something that could be considered as well. I think Emperor's Children is in a really cool spot right now, so I'm going to go with that. That's what I'd recommend.
There you are. So Drakari and Emperor's Children. I'm going to tell you to do orcs because I'm doing orcs at the moment and it's quite good fun. So they're a bit different, aren't they? So wow your way across to your enemy, and every so often orcs are unbelievably broken. So you always get that in the back pocket as well.
It's true. Get yourself 18 buggies on order because at some point
it's coming.
They're going to be broken.
It's coming.
Or legend. One of the two.
Too new for that.
Too new. Too new for the legends.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. But that is us done. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Next weekend is the ITT International Team Tournament. There are a load of teams going. 6++ have 3 teams going. Ed will be playing for Alfarius. War Masters are going. Jack will be playing for War Masters. Ignite are going. There's just all the big teams. All the big teams are going. Mind Goblins are also going to be there. So, yeah, going to be a good one. And next Monday, we will be here to either brag over how we beat War Masters or eat humble pie. And I can't wait. So, until next time, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. And we will see you next time. Bye.